All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in today. My name is Zanzi, and I'm the host of the Showcase AMA series here on the Polygon Discord. Today, we have a very special guest coming in from Cultos. His name is Andrew Yang, and he is the CEO and founder of Cultos. How are you doing today?
Hey, Zanzi, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, likewise. I'm super excited to have you here. And one thing I always like to do to kick these off is introductions. So, why don't you tell us a bit about what's your backstory and what drew you into the crypto space?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been following the crypto space ever since my undergrad days at U of T, where I was part of the Bitcoin Club. And at the time, they were trying to install one of the first Bitcoin ATMs in Canada. The Bitcoin Club in Vancouver won in the end, not the Toronto one. But ever since then, I've been following blockchain and Web3. Prior to Cultos, I was at one point an EIR working in the venture group of General Electric, the big industrial conglomerate. And I spun out a company called Authenticity that built supply chain solutions on the Ethereum protocol, private Ethereum, to solve some challenges related to data not being shared efficiently between, GE and some of their customers and their suppliers, and being able to track assets in the supply chain, which is kind of timely now as well during the pandemic. But in any case, that's what originally got me started in Web3. And with Cultos, which we've launched in 2021, it's a bit of a different focus. It's more on the brand and the consumer side, but it's I've been super impressed with what's happened in the Web3 space for the past couple of years, and I'm super excited to tell you guys about Cultos and what we're building.
Yeah, fantastic. And I also understand you're a Forbes 30 under 30 alumni, correct?
Yep, that's right. That's right. I was given that award in 2020, which was pretty cool.
Was that to do with authenticity?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so like you're saying authenticity was more supply chain focused. What caused you to shift towards being more consumer and marketing focused with Cultos?
Yeah, for sure. So, when the prior to the pandemic, we had some great customers with Authenticity. So we were working with GE Aviation, Lockheed Martin, Airbus, an Airbus supplier, a mining conglomerate, like these big industrial companies with a network of suppliers. And the product worked in such a way where it could connect those suppliers with those companies, and their data would be uniform, and there'd be no disputes, and everything would be efficient, and everything could be tracked, and it was going well. The pandemic hits, and obviously aerospace just kind of goes to a complete standstill. The supply chain's locked up, and those verticals are no longer as viable as they were before. But one of the LPs of a VC firm that invested in us approached us, and this LP actually turned out to be the largest private toy company in the world, MGA Entertainment. They've made toys like Bratz dolls, which most people have heard of, LOL Surprise, which is massively popular, and many more. And they asked us, we know you guys have a blockchain solution. We don't want it for supply chain. Could it be reconfigured for social tokens and NFTs? Because we have a bunch of initiatives there. And we looked at the space, and we saw, this is when OpenSea was clearing like $10 billion a week. And we realized we had the tech, we had the team, and now we have the business connections to really build a good solid offering in a different direction that was growing a lot faster. And so we just decided, yeah, let's do it. And we did it and didn't look back. And, fast forward to now, in the past 3 months or so, MGA announced that they've officially partnered with us, and we actually have a mobile game that leverages a token that we're launching for them to reward their customers for ways they interact with their products. That should come out in Q4 of this year, and they actually invested in the Cultos protocol directly. In addition to that, we did a token pre-sale on Republic. We sold out all 5 million USD in 4 hours on a Friday night, which was crazy but awesome at the same time. And we also announced we had a press release with our customer and investor, the San Antonio Spurs. The owner, Peter Holt's, actually an investor in the company, or the project as well. So it's been a wild ride ever since the change in direction around 2020. And so far, even despite everything going on in the market, it seems to have been the right move.
Yeah, totally. Those are some fantastic connections and partnerships. And yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense why you'd shift towards the NFTs and influencer marketing, everything that you're shifting towards. Um, so, like, where are you currently at in your development journey, and when did Cultos start?
So we launched the project in early 2021. In terms of and just to give everyone some context, if they haven't heard of Cultos before, the way that we talk about Cultos is really a Web3 rewards platform that enables pretty much anyone, but for now specifically, any brand, any creator, and any influencer to bring rewards, loyalty, and influencer marketing itself to Web3. So, what does that actually mean? That means that if you're a brand and you partner with us, you can launch your own branded token, fungible token, as well as non-fungible tokens, but primarily and at first a fungible token, and use it to reward your online fans, your online customers, your online followers for any action they perform that helps your brand out in various ways. So that could be, let's say we launch a token for Nike. We'll call it Nike Coin. A consumer buys a pair of Nike sneakers. They promote it on social media. They make a TikTok story about it, an Instagram post. Their friends and family see that. They like the sneakers too, because maybe they're like-minded. They go to Nike. They buy the same sneakers. Um, Things like that, and this consumer earns a Nike token as a reward, and then they can use it on Nike rewards. Or, and this will relate back to your original question in terms of where the product is, in a future release there will also be a rewards exchange, and they can convert their Nike token into Adidas token and access those rewards, or Bratz token if they wanted to, and access rewards related to Bratz dolls, or just convert Nike token into Cultos, which is the token we're launching on an exchange at some point next year, and simply cash it out for whatever they want: Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, withdraw it to their bank account. Consumers get full ownership over the assets that they earn, the rewards that they earn, and they can do pretty much whatever they want with it, which is kind of one of the main value props of Cultos. So the MVP is out, and the MVP is both a Shopify widget. So if you're an e-commerce brand with a Shopify website, you can install Cultos in literally like seconds, and we have all the tools you need to launch your token, create rewards, create campaigns that tell your consumers how to earn your token and how to access the rewards. Like, should they promote you on TikTok and Instagram? Is it just for buying your products? Whatever you want to do, and your followers or consumers can sign up without any Web3 knowledge at all. They're assigned a custodian wallet on the back end, and they can start earning your brand's token immediately. We also have a base API so that customers like MGA Entertainment, with the game that we're launching with them in October, can just build on top of the Cultos platform, and they can tie in their brand token and what gets rewarded and user wallets and all that stuff into an existing app that they already have, to kind of just bring a Web2 product into Web3. And of course, everything right now is built on Matic. So when we launch a brand token, first, the brand token itself is a Matic token, and then there's a bridge to the Polygon ERC20 token, which is the Cultos coin, and that's what's used to cash out on exchanges or convert into other crypto, or whatever you want to do. That's the off ramp. So that's where the project currently is right now. But we're hoping that exchange I mentioned gets released at some point in Q1 of next year.
Fantastic. That's incredibly exciting. So the way I'm currently understanding this is that you guys are like trying to position yourselves to be kind of like the go-to people for any brand out there that wants to leverage Web3 technology in order to like accelerate their marketing initiatives. So I guess what I'm
Exactly.
wondering is, what do you see as the like key advantages to using Web3? Like, what advantages does that provide to the brands that you partner with?
I think one of the key advantages for the brands that we partner with is the incentives that they're able to provide to their consumers that will drive their consumers to actually want to do the things which are good for the brand significantly more. So if you look at, kind of a Web2 world and you take loyalty points, for example, like let's say I get loyalty points from Target, or like Canadian Tire dollars from Canadian Tire, right? Like I can only use those things within that one brand's ecosystem. I can only use Target's points within Target, on Target rewards. I can't exchange them into Walmart rewards. I can't exchange them into Nike rewards. I'm stuck within Target. I also can't cash them out if I want to. They can only be used in Target's rewards. I can't convert them to crypto. I can't convert them to fiat. I'm stuck with what they originally were, and they're worth less every day, right? Like they're dollar denominated, and with inflation, that means they'll be less tomorrow, less even more so the day after that. Whereas with a brand token, which is enabled by Web3, the consumer gets all those advantages which I mentioned before. So they can. Hey, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know what happened there. I thought it cut out for a second. So they have full interoperability. Nothing stops the user from converting their Target tokens into Canadian Tire tokens or Adidas or anything else. They can access the rewards of the complete ecosystem, all the brands that are using Cultos eventually, and they can also just cash them out. They can convert their Target tokens into Cultos coin, and they can convert that into whatever crypto they want. And also, there's this aspect of fair compensation, and this is particularly important for like smaller brands. Like think about those apparel companies on Instagram, for example. Like you just kind of scroll through it and you see like a t-shirt company you've never heard of before, or like whatever else. Those are small brands that have a dedicated consumer base in the beginning, and they need their consumers to really love them and spread the word about them pretty much through online word of mouth, right, to their friends and family. Um, if a consumer does that, it's almost like being a investor in a very early stage startup, right? Like you give that startup the first check, which in the consumer's case is just like their effort online, like promoting the brand, and they get the brand's token. And if the brand gets really big and the value that those tokens are able to bring the consumers grows, and the community of token holders grows as well as a result, then the consumer who marketed for them, just to their friends and family in the beginning, are able to see the rewards from that, almost like when a startup isn't a startup anymore and goes public. So that aspect of fair compensation is something that's pretty unique to Web3. And for the brands, that means they're able to incentivize their base of consumers to be a lot more vocal, a lot more active in engaging each other and promoting the brand almost in a viral way. In fact, going back to what we were talking about in the beginning, turning your average consumer into a nano influencer because they can start promoting your brand online. Those are the main advantages for the brand. They're able to incentivize their consumers to help the brand grow in all the ways they want it to, in a way that you pretty much couldn't do because like there just were no incentives with Web2 rewards and Web2 loyalty and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it sounds like it really increases the incentives exponentially and really makes the process a lot more efficient. I'm wondering if we'd want to like go ahead and jump into getting some like visual representation of everything you're talking about. Like, would you be willing to do a screen share and maybe showcase what you're talking about?
Yeah, for sure. Let me just share my screen, and then there's a couple of slides that I think we can get through. I may have to give permission to Discord, so just bear with me while I do that. It shouldn't take too long. Um, but we can get right going on that. Oh, apparently not. I'll have to quit Discord and reopen it if we do that. But what I can do is our community team can share some visuals on the chat afterwards, and possibly even a product video, and give everybody a sense of what Cultos actually looks like from a consumer perspective.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. We can do that for sure. Um, cool. So, I guess we've really like highlighted like the key advantages for both consumers using this as well as um, big brands. Like consumers can gain a lot of value from being nano influencers for the big brands, and it makes it really easy for big brands to like gain exposure and find influencers that are willing to help them gain exposure. What are some like key milestones and achievements like you're hoping to achieve in the near term?
For sure. So, one key milestone related to which is, well, the entire product, but specifically the Web3 aspect of what we're building is certainly the Cultos coin being on an exchange. So, we were initially planning to do that during the summer of this year, but obviously with market conditions, that wasn't, the timing wasn't right. We're targeting to launch instead, most likely of Q1 of next year. So that's going to be a very important milestone for us. Building the community around the Cultos project prior to that is an important strategy for us as well, to line up for when we eventually put the token on the exchange. And most importantly are the drivers of what makes Cultos valuable. So that's the product development. So that's building on the e-commerce widget. We have now Shopify, adding some more. Also building a very robust API, so that any brand or any influencer or any creator we partner with can do anything they want with the Cultus platform. That's of course built on Matic and just tie it into their Web 2 products and make them Web 3. And then some strategic launches with big brands that really move the needle because they have a ton of consumers, and that massive community is obviously what makes Cultos the most successful in the long term. So for that, I would say specifically this year at least, that'll come down to the launch with the MGA, the maker of Brats, which we're super excited about and have coming up. So just making sure that's as big of a success as possible is a key priority, as well as some things I probably can't explicitly say yet, but there's an ecosystem that we are lining up to pretty quickly build around that too. So making sure that's successful as well. Those are the key milestones over the next period of time.
Fantastic. And you mentioned that you're currently building on top of Polygon. Is there any other chains that you're planning on deploying on, and why did you choose to deploy on these chains? Or
Yeah, good question. So for Polygon, there were some strong advantages, which just made it the ideal protocol to initially build on. For one, it has low fees, and it's quite scalable, but it's also ERC20 compliant because it's derivative of the Ethereum blockchain, right? Which is still the largest protocol in the world by market cap and for dApps at least, and also by the amount of developers which are contributing to the code base, which make it the most reliable as well. So it just made the most sense to go with the layer 2 that was tapped into the ERC protocol and the ERC community. But that being said, we're also eyeing protocols like potentially Solana or Flow, protocols that are scalable, have low fees, have good throughput, and also have a strong dApp and NFT adjacent product community kind of building around it, because those are the types of protocols which will have good network effects for us, and brands may want bridges with. But yeah, for the time being, Polygon for us stands out, is number one, and that's what we're building on for now.
amazing. Yeah, that's great to hear. That makes a lot of sense. It seems to be the reason why like so many people choose Polygon.
Yeah.
So what are like? Could you tell us a bit more about the Cultos token and like how that will be utilized by the protocol? Like you mentioned that there's all these brand tokens that you can make for individual brands, and I'm just wondering how like all these assets will tie into each other.
For sure. So the Cultos token serves as a bridge or an off ramp for any consumer that has some brand tokens to transfer them off the product and onto an exchange so that they can cash them out, they can exchange them, they can do whatever they want with them. If you earn Nike token, for example, and you want to just cash it out, like let's say into fiat, the process is you first convert Nike token into Cultos coin, and then there's a transaction fee extracted from that, which goes to the Cultos coin itself, driving up the value. And then when you withdraw it from Cultos to an exchange, like let's just say Binance, for example, there's another transaction fee or withdrawal fee, also pushing up the value of the Cultos coin. So for coin holders, there's an incentive to hold the Cultos coin itself. And vice versa, they can exchange the Cultos coin into whatever brand tokens are available on the ecosystem or the eventual exchange. So they can convert Cultos coin into Nike coin, and from there they can convert their brand coins across into each other. And there's a transaction fee each time that happens, which drives up the value of the Cultos coin as well, because it kind of acts as a reserve currency across all the different brand tokens on the ecosystem.
Wow, that's amazing. So I'm wondering now, like, is that how do you guys earn revenue? Is there some kind of like revenue generating mechanism happening throughout that process?
Yeah, for sure. So one is the transaction fees. So a portion of that goes to the Cultus coin to drive it up, so that our token holders are rewarded. But another portion of that goes to the company itself. Other transaction fees um, are generated whenever consumers, trade, use, exchange, redeem their brand tokens for rewards offered by the brand, as well as a fee we charge to the brands whenever they launch a new campaign that rewards their customers in some way with tokens. So our revenue is very aligned with how successful um, the product is with brands and how successful the brand's token is with their community. The more their community is using the brand token, the more revenue we get. The more campaigns a brand launches to reward their community with tokens, the more revenue we get. And the more popular all these brand tokens are with consumers, the more revenue we get because they're trading them all the time. And of course, we get revenue when they want to just cash out on a centralized exchange as well.
Okay, yeah, that makes tons of sense. Um, yeah, I feel like you already touched on this like a little bit, but I really want to like highlight it. What would you say is like the philosophy of Cultos, or what's your thesis on everything that you're doing?
Yeah, so I guess a couple things. One is that traditional rewards just they're 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 essentially broken and don't work anymore. They don't have enough incentives for especially the younger generations coming up of Gen Z and eventually even Gen Alpha. They grew up with games like Fortnite and Roblox, where there's play to earn is kind of built into that, but there's clear, exciting, and very engaging rewards or incentives for paying for things with Robux or whatever else. And The Web2 model of reward points that are locked into one ecosystem, you can't liquidate them or cash them out. There's kind of ambiguous value in some ways. There's no interoperability that just doesn't fly anymore. And so and consumers aren't fully compensated for what they do for the brands. Like sure, they buy their products and they get the product, but beyond that, their data and their marketing power in terms of how effective word of mouth and viral marketing is, they're not really compensated effectively for that right now. And brands should do it because, like we were discussing before, it's good for the brand because the more the consumers do that, the more customers brands have, the more products brands sell ultimately. So it's in their interest to do it. So using Web3 to kind of address all those things, like making sure consumers are fairly compensated and they have full economic ownership over their rewards, is definitely one. And the other is rewarding them for telling the brands who they are, meaning giving up first party data because it's worth it for them. They create an account to get a wallet, they connect their social media accounts, the brands know who they are, and they can engage them in a more deep and meaningful way. And the consumers do that because there's a reason, and the reason is the tokens they're getting as a reward and what they can do with those tokens, which is way better than anything they had before. So fair compensation um, uh, is definitely kind of the driving philosophy of what Cultos is.
Yeah, I think that's incredible and makes a ton of sense. Like having that. I scratch your back, you scratch my back kind of thing. Like, it's a
Right.
win-win situation. That yeah, you really don't see that in the Web 2 world at all. Like I'm not gonna go get compensated for promoting a lot of my favorite brands. They just don't have anything set up for that. So this is really cool what you guys are doing. I'm wondering, like, do you have any competitors? Like, is there anybody that you see as a competitor within Web 2 or within Web 3? And like, what do you think is your like biggest competitive advantages?
Yeah, for sure. So there's definitely some projects and companies working on very similar things. I mean, Web two, in terms of ease of use, you have traditional loyalty apps like even on Shopify, like Smile.io, for example. So like that's a comparison, but I mean that obviously it's traditional rewards. So philosophically, product wise, very different from ours. Not the same kind of fair compensation model terms of Web3, there's other projects out there like Rally, TYB.xyz, working on very, very similar things. Um, for for Rally, at least, focus more on music creators and things like that. So and the product itself has a different philosophy in terms of they have their own they have their own place online, their own website, and you go there to use everything. Whereas with us, the advantage or the philosophical difference at least is we want to make all these web3 tools we have available in a web2 world. So whether that's e-commerce integrations or an API that any web2 company can use to just bring in the Cultos features into their Web2 apps or their Web2 custom website. I would say that's an advantage for the customer segments we're going after because without that, they can't even get started. They're not Web3 experts. They like the value proposition, but without making it super easy for them to use in a way that they're used to, it's never going to happen. And we have, the product and at least the product roadmap to make that happen. So that I would say is our advantage.
Yeah, those are definitely key advantages. Um, and by the way, guys, I totally forgot to mention if you have any questions for Andrew, make sure to drop them in the text channel and I'll read them out to him. Highly encourage you to ask him questions while we're lucky enough to have him here. Andrew's a Forbes 30 under 30 alumni, very successful person, and he's like very open to questions. So definitely get those questions in. And what another question that I have for you would be, what's it been like building in a bear market? How has it affected Cultos? Like I know you mentioned you guys delayed your um, token listing because of the current market conditions. Like I don't know, what are your thoughts on the current market?
Yeah, we were very lucky with the timing of our raise. So in April, we raised 5 million USD on Republic, and then after that, we actually closed an additional equity round, bringing us to about 10 million Canadian in total in just like 60 days, which is awesome because immediately after that, um, everything started crashing. So it's been very interesting. It's been good for us because of that, because we just had this cash, which we were planning to just deploy anyways to hire across the board, which we're doing, except now the talent pool is bigger, right? I mean, for obvious reasons. So that's been good. It has been more difficult to plan the timing of listing our token for, however, right? Because you really want to time it. I mean, the best timing is you're still in a bear market, but then as soon as you list the token, you quickly transition into a bull market. And I don't think there's any like real oracle out there who fully knows when that is. It's very tied to announcements by the Federal Reserve in terms of the way the market moves. And there's definitely different paths that this can take even early next year. But we'll launch regardless because we need the Cultos token out for the product to function correctly. That's the main reason we'll do it. But in terms of a fundraising perspective, which is the other reason that people launch tokens as well, that's going to be very interesting to see, if that changes at all, or if that changes how we view the IEO listing of the token.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, yeah, I miss like the bull market where it's like kind of like an everything just goes up kind of phase.
Right,
And now it's like, oh, everyone's like a lot more cautious about what they get involved with, and it's a lot riskier. But I mean, it flushes out a lot of the garbage that we don't need. So that's a nice
for sure.
positive. Um, kind of like running out of questions. I feel like we've covered a lot so far. We've got like a really high level overview of everything that Cultos does. I guess another question that I have would be like, what is something that you would like to see happen for Cultos? Like, what it would be like an outstanding achievement for you guys, a dream come true kind of scenario.
Well, obviously our token market cap being $1 billion, but I mean that's obviously a dream achievement too. But most importantly, I would say would be the just a strong kind of flourishing community of brands and their consumers, both on Cultos or Exchange. Fulfilling all the value propositions that we believe it can, and having the strong network effects that we believe it'll have as well in terms of consumers actively converting one brand token to another to access different rewards, just the ecosystem being thriving, and then for the brands really seeing the ROI in terms of how much more effective um, this Web3 model of rewards is compared to Web2 in driving the things they want, both more products being sold, more engagement online, more new customers because of how much more engagement online there is, just all that stuff executing in the way that we believe it can.
Okay, yeah, I definitely think you guys are gonna achieve that. I certainly hope so. Like, you seem to be like first movers in a very important, um, kind of like targeting a very important utility for Web3. So very hopeful and optimistic about that. And another question that I typically ask like every project would be: is there any like alpha information that you can share with us?
Any more information from the product that I can share with you? You mean?
Yeah, sure. Like alpha, like as in like just kind of like things that we should keep an eye out for. Stuff that's kind of on the
Yeah, I would
download.
say, yeah, for sure. I'd say anyone interested in updates should definitely join our Discord. We will have some exciting announcements coming up soon related to the product itself, as well as some, and definitely keep an eye out for that major launch I was talking about in October. And just join the Discord to just be engaged and maybe get some rewards that our community team is making available on a more ongoing basis as well.
Yeah, I've actually joined it. It looked like you guys were doing some giveaways and stuff from time to time. So yeah, that's definitely something I encourage everyone to do is join in there and get involved. And so yeah, I've got your Discord link in the chat. I got your Twitter and your Cultos website. So I believe those are all the best places to follow up with you guys. And then, is there anything that you wanted to touch on that we haven't already?
No, I would say it's been a great interview. I think the questions are really spot on. So I'm glad I had the opportunity to talk about all the really important aspects of Cultos, which wouldn't have been possible without those questions. So yeah, appreciated the experience here today. It was really good.
Awesome. I really appreciate hearing that. Thank you so much, Andrew. And thank you, everyone, for coming out and listening today. I hope you enjoyed.
Awesome. Thanks, Zanzi. Thanks, everyone. Great to be here.
Yeah,
Bye.
anytime. Bye now. Have a great day, everybody.